Hello, I'm Anushree and I read books. And today I want to talk about Autobiography of a Yogi by Paramahansa Yogananda. I'm a voracious reader. I read philosophy, literature, I read fiction, non-fiction, I read quantum mechanics, I read history. uh, I also read comic books. I read anime mangas. I read everything because what I feel is you can't really capture human emotion in just one form of art or literature. But this book is very meaningful to me because I am from India and I feel growing up in India, I can definitely understand what yoga and the Paramahansa was talking about, but also the great late Steve Jobs only had one book in his iPad. It was this book, and he also distributed this book because he just found this book to be so insightful. Now, this book is great for many reasons. Like, I can make literally an hour long podcast just talking about this book, but TLDR, this book is amazing because you get a POV view of India, of Indian mysticism, of challenges faced by this person in a pre partition India, which was still under British colonial rule, but still was so rich in spirituality, various sects of religious traditions, also a lot of problems that has been highlighted because Paramahansa Yogananda mentions the tumultuous time of World War II. Anyhow, he travels across India, he journals growing up around Bengal, around North India, he journals his leap of faith of going to America, and then actually finding a very dedicated following and also a great network of institutions where he sort of continues the lineage of Kriya Yoga, which is a powerful uh, sect of yogic practices for physical, mental, and spiritual well being. Now, he is very scientific. His guru, Sri Yukteswar Giri, is known as the intellectual avatar. Avatar for a lot of Western listeners, avatar for Indian speakers. And an intellectual avatar. His guru wrote about the cross section of Indian wisdom with a lot of Western esotericism, as well as a lot of uh, reference to Christianity. And similarly, Yogananda has a lot of references to Christianity and a lot of different religions. But then he also talk about the vast pantheon of Hinduism. And what I love about this book that he talks about his life, and his life you can see the struggle of a person who has been doubted by everyone around him. Again, there are so many stories from his life that people can just say, hey, this is woo woo, this is what's happening with it. No, he is literally just telling what he's experienced, but then there is so much profound wisdom with the way he talks about faith, moving through life, stories around people growing around him, true spiritual seeker, false spiritual seeker, egoistic people, people with humility and grace, war, suffering, his travails and travels across America, the America of the early 20th century. His message resonating so much with a lot of white American folks. When I say white American folks, it's just that at that time, imagine like a brown person like in a British colonial India traveling to America, uh, dominated by discourses of segregation, Jim Crow laws, but he was accepted. He gave speeches in really big auditorium and community halls across California across the East Coast, and then he established Kriya Yoga. Again, he talks in my favorite chapters are the woo mystical chapters. I love the chapters when his late guru visits him in an astral body, and then they talk about life after death, and he's really clear about what life after death is. But then he also is very grounded in reality, and he is very specific on the methods of how you can actually use science. Even for Americans following Christianity, how Christianity, science, and Hinduism have these different cross section. Now, this book is amazing. This book is amazing for many reasons because it's a great read. The way uh, Paramahansa Yogananda has written this book is just amazing. He quotes Roosevelt, Franklin D. Roosevelt. He quotes Lao Tzu. He talks about his meeting with Mahatma Gandhi. He talks about his conversation with dignitaries, mystics from all across the world. His life was just like amazing, just full of possibilities. But then some of the most beautiful chapters are his own sadhana. Now, sadhana, for a lot of people who don't know, sadhana is a dedicated spiritual practice that it could be personal, it could be owing to the culture that you belong to. In Indian tradition, everyone does a sadhana to a deity, and there is a spiritual practice. In his sadhanas, he goes into meditation. He, through his frustration, he actually asks God that you have to show me a sign. Can I take this leap of faith and go to America? I don't have any money. He is a dedicated servant. He has a children's school, and he also visits the great Nobel laureate Rabindranath Tagore. This book is just amazing, and it's a beautiful story of the lineage of Kriya Yoga that has been passed on through centuries. It is so powerful to learn about the origination of yoga, because yoga in 2025, for a lot of, again, from an Indian perspective, when I see a lot of commercialized yoga, I just cringe, because yoga is a very culturally coded, and it's something that transmitted in Guru Parampara. Guru Parampara is a lineage of practices and knowledge that is transmitted over the years, and it's protected from corruption. Yoga definitely helps in can definitely be seen as physical exercise, but it's more about the shuddhi, the purity of the mind and the soul and the body, to be able to hold more energy for better spiritual experiences, as well as these spiritual experiences then can translate into psychological well-being, emotional well-being, and also tangible material results as well. Having said that, he talks about so much, so many mistakes, so many experiences. He talks about his travels across his travels across Europe, his travels across America, he travels across India as well. When he returns with some of his ardent followers. So Steve Jobs, by the way, visited India, specifically Neem Karoli Baba Temple. Look it up. I don't know. He had some spiritual connections. I can't really explain that man's spiritual connection. Just like look it up. But this book, great read. I just love revisiting this book. Now I've read this so many times. I just open a random page and I am just like sort of entranced by great passages. So one of the passages that I randomly open is, great prophets like Christ and Krishna come to earth for a specific spectacular purpose. They depart as soon as it is accomplished. Other avatars in Western pronunciations, like Babaji, undertake work that is more concerned more with the slow evolutionary progress of a man during the centuries than with any one outstanding event of history. So Babaji is the mystical guru that has transmitted Kriya Yoga, and this lineage is carried by Paramahansa Yogananda and many of his established spaces across North America, across the world. So, TLDR, Autobiography of a Yogi, I cannot even just fathom that how one person can live such an immense life, but then he mentions it's just not one life, it's a continuum of so many lives. Uh, if you really need to understand the Indian way of thought, the Eastern Indian philosophy, you have to read this, because the India that I grew up in, this was super normal. Reincarnation, past lives, we just talk about this stuff, at least in my house, like it's just something, yeah, it's yeah, this happens. I am scientific, I am very rational minded, left brain, but this is my culture. I grew up with this notion, and I revere many great saints from my land, and I will accept it. And I will always ask people who are looking for answers, who are actually are sort of crossed with conventional wisdom, and they're not getting the bigger answers to bigger questions of life. Pick up this book. You won't be disappointed. It definitely has a lot of offer. It is a classic. It's a masterpiece. It certainly has helped me. It has certainly helped millions of people, and it certainly had helped Steve Jobs. Alrighty. Thank you so much for listening. That's it.